Y'all ready for this episode? Yeah, me neither. I thought I was, but man, shit gets real in this episode. Oh my god. We pick up at, well, the beginning of this episode where we left off last episode with Deku busting through the wall just as Mirio is at, like, his lowest point. But we actually, like, where new content begins, we see Mimic directly after they capture Mimic, and they kind of are breaking down what was going on, the boost he had, and the fact now that we have the villains, the League of Villains, fighting. That is, well, partnered with them, but kind of not, because Mimic was very angry, and the heroes kind of pieced together that maybe they weren't working with them per se, so there was that. And they were all kind of trying to debate about what to do and that kind of stuff, and after a little pep talk, I guess you could call it, from Rocklock, they go off to finish the mission. So with everything that Deku was told by Eraser, that really doesn't matter now because, well, it just doesn't matter now. Eraser is, well, they're all in the thick of it, so it doesn't matter. Eraser is going to have to just kind of have Deku's back during this, and that's just going to be what has to happen. Now, of course, the League of Villains is planning something. We're not 100% sure what it is, but of course, with Toga and Twice still being there, there's still some things that they can do. And obviously, since they're currently betraying the Yakuza, they're just kind of in it for their own gains, which makes sense because that's the whole thing for them anyway, is to do things for themselves, especially Toga, who just wants to be in a world where she can do whatever she wants, including violently murdering people and stabbing them, apparently. Now, of course, getting back to what the heroes are doing, when they actually go to fight the rest of the villains, the rest of the Yakuza, they're still assuming that there's a lot of people to fight, but of course we know Mirio took out pretty much all of them, and still managed to take out quite a few of them, even though he's now sacrificed his quirk, which kind of sucks. And when they finally get to where Overhaul and Mirio have been fighting, Deku actually lands a really good hit. So I guess I get the whole thing now. I kind of understand that he is using shoot style to preserve his arms, keep them from taking more damage. But of course, as we learned with Bakugo, and we see example again here, he's okay with using it once in a while. He just can't go all out with it because of the damage done to his arms from the previous seasons. But he lays one good punch into Overhaul, and then Eraserhead just puts on the full lockdown. He has no more quirk, and this is where they should have the upper hand, but that very quickly changes. But now, of course, we see Mirio after everything that he's been through, and the fact that he is just destroyed. He is weary. He is tired of the fighting. He's done. And so as a result, we have Sir Night-Eye run over and grab Eri and hug Mirio. And kind of in a unintentionally prophetic way, he says, "You were amazing," which I find kind of ironic because he doesn't know the fact that Mirio's lost his quirk, but by saying "you were amazing," that is sort of the last thing Mirio did as a quirk-enabled hero. Now he's completely unable to fight with his quirk anymore, which just, God, that sucks. And another thing I said earlier in this review series earlier in the season, I'm really hoping doesn't come true, but after something that happens almost immediately after this, it's very possible, and I'm not looking forward to it. But anyway, while Overhaul still has his quirk disabled, we have both Deku and Eraser going after him, and then the one member of the Hisaikai, I don't know exactly what his quirk is. Maybe I missed it during the explanation, but he shoots a thing that cuts Eraser, and I guess it paralyzes or knocks him unconscious, but as a result, he's now out of the fight, and Overhaul has his quirk back, and it's going to be a very difficult fight still. But it's at this point that Overhaul, after giving himself some space to fight, uses another member of the Hisaikai and fuses with them, and even says that he's acknowledging Mirio's strength by doing this. And he fuses with him and makes this gigantic monster thing, and it is not good for anybody. We do get a quick moment of Eraser being detained, but then we get straight back into the fight, and man, This is where things get really, really real. So, of course, with Mirio being the one dealing all this damage, we have now Deku getting into the fight. Overhaul's mainly focused on taking out Mirio, and then, of course, by extension, Sir Night-Eye. And because he can reassemble people, I'm guessing he doesn't really care that Eri is in the line of fire. But Deku takes Overhaul's attention, and fortunately we actually see the benefit of his steel soles to his shoes, with the rocks being just deflected very easily by Deku's shoes when Overhaul goes to kind of try to take out Deku. Now it's at this point though that we do finally have Sir Night-Eye getting into the fight, and we see his ability, we see his full potential with foresight being used against Overhaul, and we actually have him using it to see the movements that Overhaul is going to make so that he can actually deal some damage, or at least not take damage himself, at least for the moment. But during this, we actually have a bit of an idea of how Sir Night-Eye sees his ability, which is that he feels as though when he uses his quirk, he's sort of setting whoever he's using his quirk on, setting their future in motion, but setting it in stone so that nothing will change. Which I don't know if that's entirely true, especially considering what happens later. In fact, based on the way that I see a lot of these stories going, it's almost certain that it's not going to be the case, but he pretty much feels as though his quirk is setting somebody's future in stone, and therefore doesn't think that he should use it so frivolously. But that does end up playing to his detriment, because he sees something in the future for him and Deku that definitely does not look good for either of them. But while we have Sir Night-Eye taking Overhaul's attention away from Mirio and Deku, those two kind of devise a plan, but Deku makes a clear path for Mirio to escape with Eri to save her. The only problem is that at this point Mirio is extremely weak from the fight, and Eri is very concerned about these heroes who have come to save her, because she feels as though it's not worth their time, because she's like, everybody who has gone against Overhaul has died, and she feels as though this will be the exact same thing. And unfortunately, at least for somebody, it looks like that very well may be the case, which is Sir Night-Eye. So I said previously that, like, now that Mirio has had his quirk taken away, because I already knew plot armor wasn't a thing in this series, but now that Mirio has had his quirk taken away, I said I wouldn't be surprised if there was a character death. And with what happened with Sir Night-Eye, I feel like that may be a character death coming up, and I really don't want it to be. But he's been stabbed, and from what I could tell, looks like he lost his arm, because he was distracted immediately by the fact that he saw a future where he and Deku die. Period. Like, that was the end of his vision. And boy, is that doesn't bode well for him. But I can almost guess with certainty that it's not going to happen for Deku, which means that my guess is that probably if Sir Night-Eye... So, two outcomes that I foresee. Now, I don't have foresight, so I'm just guessing here. Deku is either going to change... Well, I feel like Deku's going to change the future, period. He's going to change what Sir Night-Eye sees, which will then change Night-Eye's perspective on what may happen with All Might. But one of the potentials is that he sees that change and then dies, or sees that change, recovers, and becomes like a consultant or something like that. I don't know. We'll see which one of those actually happens. He's either going to die having his perspective changed, or continue as not a hero with his perspective changed. I'm not sure which is going to happen. But anyway, after seeing this, Deku steps in and kicks it into second gear, 20% gear. He's using 20% of One for All. And oh my god, this is where things get good. He's actually managing to kind of throw Overhaul around by kicking all the different debris and changing the ground around him by kicking it. Like, it's awesome. And he actually lands it looks like he lands a solid hit, a kick on the top of, looks like he lands a kick on the top of Overhaul's head, though it doesn't actually do anything. And I'm kind of confused by this, so if somebody could let me know in the comments, why does his glove just, like, randomly disintegrate? Like, that, I don't know why that happened. Also, if you hear squeaking, I need to oil the seat that I'm sitting on. It creaks and pops, so But then during that fight with Deku versus Overhaul, we see what Sir Night-Eye foresaw, which was Deku looking shocked and blood going all over the place, which happened immediately after Deku's kicked the head failed, and then we cut to Mirio. Ugh, Mirio. Ugh, I'm so mad with like all of this. I'm not taking it out on Mirio, I said Mirio and then got mad because of everything else that's happening right now. So Mirio's about to pass out, and Eri is with him, still wondering why they're going to all this effort. Mirio is at his limit because he's now seen a horrible injury fall upon his on his mentor, and he has no quirk and has fought his hardest. And yeah. Then we get back to Deku. We see that the blood was actually from spikes getting stabbed into him, and this is where Overhaul tries to call out to Eri, and she's still very, very attached to him because she knows that if she doesn't obey, people will get hurt. And that shows that at her core, she is a good person, or at least she seems to be a good person. But she's just not strong. So she's been held in the clutches of Overhaul. And it's a very bad relationship for those two. And it's very tragic. And she comes back when he calls to her, which has the potential to ruin everything that these heroes have fought so hard for. But just as things start looking like they're about to go to their lowest point, remember at the very beginning, our dragon hero fighting against the first villain that we came across? Yeah, that fight is still going on, and they bust through the ceiling. And this may very well be the chance for our heroes to get the upper hand on this fight and on this scenario. I really hope, at least. And then that's where the episode ends. That's where it ends. Sir Night-Eye in a horrible state. Deku using everything that he can at 20% of his quirk's ability. Overhaul with the upper hands. At the moment, he's got 4 of them. Eri potentially taking and ruining everything that these heroes are fighting for currently. Oh! However, I am excited for the preview we see for one big reason, which is the fact that we get to see potentially a 100% Deku. Now, I don't know if that means that he's going to go 100% and, like, just fall apart, like, just completely unusable after the end of the fight. I don't exactly know. All I know is that in the preview, the 100% is used, and it has something to do with Eri. And the only reason I know that is because Funimation posted a piece of art from the production that shows Deku with One for All activated. I said All for One earlier, didn't I? Deku has One for All activated, and he's got Eri on his back. So I don't know exactly what that means for him, what that means for his abilities, but whatever Eri's ability is, because I thought her ability was a quirk eraser, like Eraserhead's, but hers was permanent. And from everything we see with the ending, it looks like she can make people disappear. So I would think that her quirk was something to do with like disabling or disappearing or like removing things from existence, but I don't know. But it looks like it's going to have something to do with Eri, and it looks like Deku may go to 100%. Now, granted, we've seen that before when he fought Muscular, and it was the 1000% sort of thing, so that may not really mean anything. It might just be a hype title, but I don't know. But that's it. That's the episode. I really enjoyed it. I was not ready for any of what just happened at all, and I don't think that I'm mentally prepared for next episode either, but we're going there, and that's gonna be it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I really do enjoy watching this show. I love doing these reviews, and I hope you guys like this as well. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Check out the links down in the description, and yeah, comment, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Make sure to be there, and have a good one. Hey guys, just hopping in at the end here. Thanks for watching through the whole video. I hope you enjoyed it. I do still have merch. I've actually had it for quite a while, but not a lot of people know about it or care. And so if you guys want to support me or check it out just because it looks cool, go to the link in the description. You can see some of the designs I have, like the Steel Frodo in Steins Gate design, or even the Mob Psycho 100 design, and maybe even buy one if you like it, or don't. I cried myself to sleep at night anyway. So either way, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.